Okay, so we will start with question number 3. This is a descriptive and easy question. It relates actually to the first two, 1 and 2. So description, this is based on marshalling or unmarshalling. We will come to those later on. And how proxy servers or gateways relate to the hop or the hops, so that data is received by the clients. Right. So it says describe the contents of the Java client proxy for election service. Obviously, election service per client. Client choose what service they want. So it also is asking you to explain how the appropriate marshalling and marshalling. This is in relation to assembling and disassembling the whole packet, which can be obtained for static proxy. Okay, so let us go and define things related to the proxy or the proxy server. So the proxy server, okay, just think of the proxy server as the middleman. So this is a server that acts as an intermediary, right? It is a middleman for requests from clients seeking, obviously, service or services, okay, from particular service. It must contain the URL of the server for the election server. Obviously, otherwise it cannot direct that client to a particular service. So this is obvious. This is one. Right. So as far as its content, now it contains one method for vote and another for result, i.e. it will aggregate one service, and then it will get the result, whether this service is available or not. Again, it contains one method for vote and another for result. Each of these methods marshal its own method. Okay, it will pack its own interrupts and the questionnaires. Okay, so it marshal its own method, okay, and its arguments, interrupts, okay, into a protocol, which is SOAP. Now, when a reply is received or arrives, it is unmarshaled, it is disassembled. So it packs, just like uploading and downloading, it packs wherever request is to be sent, and then wherever reply, it must unpack it. This is marshalling or unmarshalling. That's it. It's not very difficult. So by unmarshalling, this is done by extracting the result from the XML. Now, this is, as you know, is extensible markup languages, which is designed for such unmarshalling process to store and transport data and to be put in an envelope, i.e. the whole result is disassembled and then put for the client to be read, obviously. So in essence, the client obtains this service, or a so-called WSDL, Web Service Definition Language. This is a document which will contain what sort of service is to be obtained, or the service description, and uses a compiler or a compilation process, WS compile. Now this tool is used, this will somehow guarantee that those slots or those unmarshalling information or unmarshaled information are put in order, so it ties, serialize those and make them ready for the client to be read. Don't forget, this is your reply. It must be understood so that the client can go to the next step, i.e. the actual communication part, using SOAP, obviously. This is all done under the umbrella of SOAP. So in essence, this is used in Java API, application program interface, obviously in a synchronous manner. For XML or RPC, remote procedure calls, relates to Java. So those services, when they arrive in such systematic, in such serialized manner, it will give guarantees, okay, by the proxy to the clients that whether it can proceed to the next step, i.e. it will know, i.e. the client, whatever service it requested from a particular server is ready, or it might be not available or busy. Question number 3. Do we have a question on number 3, people? Okay. Number 4, this is on servlet containers. This is a buffer, and how such is used as a buffer for the information for the service or to service client requests. So it says explain the role of servlet container which is deployed in web services, and how it relates to clients' requests, how it does those requests, or how it executes client requests. Think of batch queuing. The keyword here is batch queuing. Okay, that's why it is a container, right? So when a service is created, a tool will accompany the service. So a tool called WSD, which is Web Service Deploy or Deployment, creates some sort of skeleton, i.e. a confinement, okay, a confinement. So it creates a skeleton class for the service implementation. Now, the reason why it creates this skeleton, because it must provide the possible window size for the transaction. Again, it must provide possible size of the transaction to be done between the client and the server. Now, window size relate to many things, whether if it is an X on, X off, whether it is a window flow control based windowing, whether the client is to be or is to receive the data synchronously or asynchronously, how acknowledgements are treated. All these arguments are to be negotiated beforehand and put in that skeleton. Right. So when the service is deployed or to be used, okay, in a servlet, this relates to a Java program, which is an extension that extend the capabilities of a server, i.e. In terms of buffer size, okay, in terms of buffer size. Container is related to how to supply the names to the server or the servlet, and the web service definition description, which relates to that transaction. It must have related classes. So the skeleton, in a sense, somehow programmed, somehow configured for that session. You must have some sort of configuration for that session under circumstances, so that the start and end is done in a timely manner, and then obviously the server can release the transaction knowing that the client has been serviced. So that's why you need a skeleton. Now back to the SOAP. So client SOAP request messages, those are to be done using URLs, services. Now if this is to be done, you must have a dispatcher. Now a dispatcher, this is just a control scheme in which it uses the name of the method in action for that particular session. It uses a header that will define the particular session in relation to the skeleton. So each skeleton, obviously, they do change in relation to the client request. So obviously, each one must be configured in accordance to specifics or to specific needs to the server. Now, the skeleton itself relates to SOAP. So the skeleton is given a SOAP request for it to be configured, obviously, for which the arguments are extracted after the configuration is done. You should, as a client, make sure that whatever configuration the skeleton fit client's needs, and then transaction will begin. So when the actual result is returned, it translated those back to SOAP as a reply message, i.e. The client will agree on those configurations to be done to the skeleton. Question number 4. Do we have a question on 4, people? Okay. Right. Another services to be offered are the UDDI. This is question 5, 7.5. So it says, again, those are on services. So it says, explain why UDDI can be described as being both a name service and a directory service, i.e. a name to be used once, or a directory service that can be called. That's the difference between the two. Name service to be used once. Directory, it can be called again and again and again. So once this service is used, it is put in a directory, specifically using a name. So clients can use that name from that directory without going through the burden of defining a new skeleton. Okay, so it says whether a name service or and a directory service, mentioning the types of inquiries or inquiries that can be made. Now the second D, which is in UDDI, in the name UDDI, refers to discovery. The question is UDDI really a discovery service? Now, it might not. Just wait. So back to the UDDI, this relates to universal description, discovery, and integration. Think about skeletons. Okay, think about skeletons. So these UDDIs provides definition of a set of services in support to the description and discovery of the following. The first one, businesses, organizations, and other web service providers, i.e. the party for which you are asking your service. Second, the web services they make available. Now, the services are available under different circumstances. Those circumstances may be time related, license related, cost related, and what have you. That's the second one. The third one is more related to hardware. So the technical interfaces which may be used to access those services. Now, technical services, this relate to the interface bandwidth. Okay, so the idea is to discover organizations and services that organization offer, different costs, different window sizes, different bandwidths, and what have you. Much like using a phone book or dialing information. Is it available or it is not? Obviously, you might have a timetable relating to the phone book, a timetable for that service, whether it is slotted or not, whether it is available or not. So after this introduction to UDDI was originally developed by UDDI.org, and then it is transferred. This is a history transferred to the WASES UDDI organization, org.org. It comprises of 300 businesses and technology leaders. Those actually provided a dynamic way at that time, a dynamic, easy way to locate those services. Now, things changed due to innovation, so UDDI is based on some sort of ISO or common set of industry standard, ISO or ISO-OZ, including those protocols, HTTPs, XML, and XML schema. This is related to database inquiries, database XML schema, database inquiries, and SOAP. Now, if this is done, then the whole scheme is to provide an infrastructure, or it will pave the way actually for web services based software environment. Again, think about skeletons, people. This, if it is true, if this is provided, or if this environment is available, it will be provided for both public services and private or internally within organization services. let us call them private. Now the difference between the two, obviously security is of an essence. Again, with the UDDI business registry systems, it consists of three types of pages. The white, yellow, and green pages. The difference between those actually in terms of their standards, different standards. So for the white pages, it contains basic information such as the company name. This is how you may look for a specific service. So the UDDI white page, looking for a particular service, it must provide information. So basic information such as company name, address, phone, and what have you. The yellow pages, it gives more detail. So details or detailed business data and an organization which is relevant to what sort of business you are looking for, or business classes. The green pages, actually, the information about company, it's more detailed. It's towards giving what sort of services or dedicated services are offered, and those are the green pages. So information about the company's key business processes, such as operating platforms, supported programs. This is just related to compatibility. So you know, as a client, what sort of compatibility you are expected to work with. Lastly, the discovery service, in essence, actually is designed to register the services provided in a network or a spontaneous network environment, i.e. what is available. Actually, the name suggests that you're discovering what are available as services currently. Okay, so it allows the set of clients and services to change dynamically, obviously in accordance again to the cost, to the time, to the date, to the distances, to the lease, to the window size. Okay, without user intervention, everything will be available. The client, if the client finds whatever service he or she needs, then he or she can request that. UDDI actually, in comparison, does not do those things. So a discovery service as compared to the UDDI is more general than the UDI. UDI is more specific. This is why you have those three different pages. Okay, white, yellow, and green pages. This is just to make the UDDI more versatile. Although UDDI, as compared to discovery service, to some of you might look that UDDI is a little bit lame. It is not. It is more specific oriented service routines. Discovery service, it is more general. Question number 5, people. Do we have a question on 5? Come on, people, say something. Yes, Samala. You were writing something. Come on. I saw you, Samala. Yes. You are caught.